Oh, hi. So today's critical affirmation I'm going to be doing is on bio piracy. So let me start my timer and we'll get into this debate. The US should deal with piracy is the resolution we're given today. Observation 1, resolutional analysis. Our A point is going to be, this is going to be a policy debate because the word should implies action. Our terms is going to be the US is going to be the US Patent and Trades Office. Deal is going to be significantly reduce or prevent. And piracy is going to be biopiracy. So then the C point here is the plan, and that is the US Patent and Trades Office will no longer recognize or give out patents on biological life or any product thereof. So genetic sequencing counts, any sort of chemical derived from plants or animals, anything like that, any part of a plant or an animal, any part of biological life. The time frame will be immediately, and then normal means for everything else. Our D point here is going to be net benefits. So now let's get into observation 2, which is background of biopiracy and what exactly it is. So biopiracy happens when a company or a researcher or anyone goes to an exotic place, and exotic could mean China or it could mean the rainforest, just anywhere that's really not the Western world. So they go here to discover biological life that has medicinal properties or or like for cleaning products or anything like that, to make shampoos or anything. So our B point here is a lot of the times they use in the knowledge of indigenous people, or they discover plants that the indigenous people have cultivated over the years, and then they patent those exact traits or something that a group of people have been using for a long time. The C point is these people rarely ever receive any sort of compensation. They don't usually get anything in return, and they don't get a share of the profit. So what this really amounts to, and the impacts of this, is that it's theft. It's intellectual property theft. So these indigenous people have a knowledge base, and companies or researchers come in and they steal from that, and then they make tons of money off it. So that's how it applies to the piracy, because you're pirating their intellectual property. So our advantage 1 is going to be the protection of culture or tradition. So our A point here is that when these companies come in to a place like the rainforest, for example, and discover something that they want, they'll take it, but they'll remove a lot of it from the naturally occurring environment, and that will ruin the ecosystem. My example here is the Maasai people in Tanzania and Kenya. These are a pastoralist society, so nomads who really rely on domesticated animals like goats for the most of their stuff, and then gathering from the local environment. What they have is the olusuki tree bark that has medicinal properties, and that they use culturally and just for medicine and for healing plants, animals themselves, anything really. But it's also useful in curing malaria. So when a Swiss company came in, they discovered that this tree bark did fight malaria, and then they took it, they engineered it, and then they patented it all around the world, so that they were the only ones who could sell this olusuki tree bark, and they were the only ones who profit off this. They even took it so they would prevent the Maasai people from using the tree bark. The B points is, now that the corporations have patented it, the Olusuki people are no longer allowed to even use the tree bark for their own personal healing thing. So they've been healing themselves with this tree bark for thousands of years, and now they're no longer allowed to do it because a corporation came in and patented the biological life. The C point, the link, is that the plan would stop this because you would literally not be able to patent these sorts of things in the United States, which is where a fair share of their profits would come from, and people could make their own cheaper versions. So the D point here is it would increase healing in just the Maasai people. So the Maasai people would be able to heal themselves, they'd be able to get all that. It would keep their culture alive because now they wouldn't have this tree being removed from them. They would be able to practice the way they live. And then another impact would increase their economy because they could even sell this tree bark to people who wanted to use it. So now that it's known it's a valuable commodity, they could collect it and then sell it to anyone they chose to. Our advantage 2 is going to be seed protection. So right now, corporations can go in and they can find in China or where have you any a type of grain like a soybean specifically that has certain properties that it's either resistant to drought or floods, and then they can patent the genetic sequence of this and claim that they invented it. So my example here is Monsanto went into China and took local soybean grains that were resistant to flooding, and they patented it and they decided to sell that in America. Because of this, people in Asia can't profit off it. They can't even sell this soybean anymore because Monsanto is a global company that patents their stuff all over the world. So if they find you using it, they stop you from doing it. The B point here is that corporations won't stop doing this because it's profitable and they love to make money. Our C point is our plan would stop this. Our D point is that local farmers increase food supply, increase job security for farmers. So that's my time. Thank you.